Stop. Before you assume this is exaggeration, before you think this is hype, listen carefully. There are moments in life when something changes. Not because everyone tried, not because support showed up, not because the environment made it easy, but because one person refused to quit. You didn't wait for permission, you didn't wait for applause, you didn't even wait for agreement. You just did it. And that decision quietly changed history, even if only in your family, your circle, or your own life. Stay with this, because this message is about what that actually means. There were people before you, people who faced the same obstacles, the same limitations, the same patterns, but they adapted to them. You confronted them, they accepted dysfunction. You questioned it, they normalized chaos. You felt uncomfortable with it. That discomfort was not weakness, it was awareness. Most people repeat what they inherit. Very few interrupt it. And interruption requires courage no one sees. You didn't have a perfect example. You didn't have a flawless blueprint. You didn't have constant encouragement. You had pressure. Pressure to survive. Pressure to adjust. Pressure to become stronger faster than you wanted to. And instead of collapsing under it, you built something. Maybe it was discipline. Maybe it was self-control. Maybe it was emotional maturity. Maybe it was financial responsibility. Maybe it was simply choosing not to react the same way. It may not look historic to the world, but in your story, it is. There were habits in your environment that felt normal to others. To you, they felt wrong. There were reactions people excused. You decided to refine them. There were patterns everyone tolerated. You felt called to end them. That doesn't make you superior. It makes you accountable. You didn't wake up one day powerful. You became consistent. And consistency is rarer than talent. When no one else tried to build stability, you did. When no one else tried to manage emotions differently, you did. When no one else tried to create something new, you did. And you did it quietly, without a headline, without validation. That is strength. But here's something important. Doing it first comes with isolation. When you think differently, you stand alone at first. When you act differently, people question you. When you raise your standards, some relationships shift. Not because you're wrong, but because change disrupts comfort. Comfortable systems resist evolution. And you became evolution. There were moments when you wanted to quit. Moments when returning to the old way would have been easier. Moments when staying silent would have protected your image. But you chose growth over ease. That decision separated you from the past. And separation feels lonely before it feels empowering. You may still doubt yourself sometimes. You may still wonder if it's worth the effort. You may still feel misunderstood. But understand this. The first person to change direction in any environment always feels resistance. Resistance is not rejection. It's confirmation. It means the pattern noticed your interruption. You didn't just change for yourself. You shifted momentum. Momentum that will affect people you may never meet. Future conversations will be healthier because you practiced control. Future opportunities will exist because you practiced discipline. Future stability will exist because you practiced restraint. That is generational influence. Not dramatic, not loud. Sustained, you may not receive recognition for it, but recognition is not the reward. Impact is. And impact builds slowly, day by day, choice by choice, reaction by reaction. The version of you that decided to just do it without waiting change something permanently, even if no one applauded, even if no one thanked you. There is something powerful about being the first to try. Because the first to try proves it's possible. You proved it's possible to respond differently. You proved it's possible to think long term. You proved it's possible to grow beyond your environment. That matters more than you realize. But here's the next level. Doing it once is history. Doing it consistently is legacy. You cannot build legacy on one disciplined moment. You build it through repetition. There will be days where old habits try to return. There will be days where pressure makes shortcuts tempting. There will be days where fatigue whispers, "Relax your standards." That's when the real test begins. Being first is impressive. Staying steady is powerful. You need to remain consistent. The quiet strength you developed will outlast loud talent. The discipline you built will outlast emotional motivation. The self-control you practiced will outlast temporary inspiration. And slowly others will notice, not because you demanded attention, but because your stability speaks. Keep building, keep refining, keep choosing differently. History does not only belong to famous names, it belongs to the person who refused to repeat what everyone else accepted. If this message feels personal, if you know you broke something that needed breaking, if you know you chose growth when quitting was easier, comment, "I chose different." And let that not be pride. Let it be commitment to stay steady, stay here. Because being the first was only the beginning. Now comes the weight of maintaining it. When you break a pattern, the environment shifts. But when you sustain the change, the environment transforms. There is a difference. Anyone can have one powerful moment, one disciplined decision, one breakthrough, but history is not shaped by moments. It is shaped by maintenance, and maintenance is quiet. There will be days when no one notices your growth, days when your restraint goes unseen, days when your discipline feels unrewarded, days when the easier option whispers louder than the right one. This is where many people return to comfort, not because they are weak, but because they are tired of carrying responsibility alone. You may feel that fatigue sometimes, the sense that you matured too fast, that you had to become strong before you felt ready, that you were forced to think differently because no one else would. That feeling is real. But so is your strength. You didn't just do it. You endured it. You endured being the misunderstood. You endured being the one who thinks ahead. You endured the loneliness of higher standards, and higher standards reduce crowds. Not everyone will grow with you. Some will question your boundaries. Some will interpret your discipline as distance. Some will accuse you of changing. You did change. That was the point. Growth is not meant to keep everyone comfortable. It is meant to elevate your direction. There is something else happening beneath the surface. People are watching you more than you realize. Not publicly, not loudly, but quietly. They notice your calm. They notice your restraint. They notice that you don't react the way you used to. And even if they never say it, your example is planting seeds. Seeds of possibility. When one person proves that stability is achievable, others begin to believe it too. You may not see immediate results, but your consistency is shifting expectations around you. There is power in being the steady one. Not the loudest, not the most dramatic, the steady one. Steady people become anchors. Anchors create safety. Safety creates growth. You are becoming an anchor. But anchors must be secured, and security comes from self-discipline. Guard your routines, guard your peace, guard your standards. The more you grow, the more temptation will test you. Not obvious temptation. Subtle shortcuts, moments where lowering your standard would make things easier. Moments where reacting would feel satisfying. Moments where compromising would feel harmless. But every compromise weakens structure. You did not build this foundation to watch it crack. Stay intentional. You are not responsible for fixing everyone. You are responsible for maintaining your direction. Leadership is not about controlling others. It is about controlling yourself consistently. And self-control is rare. Especially when emotions run high, especially when ego feels threatened, especially when old triggers reappear. You may still feel those triggers. That doesn't mean you failed. It means you are human. The difference now is awareness. Before you reacted automatically. Now you pause. That pause is power. That pause protects your legacy. Every time you choose restraint over reaction, you strengthen the future. Every time you choose patience over pride, you reinforce stability. Every time you choose discipline over distraction, you expand opportunity. This is not about being perfect. It is about being reliable. Reliable to your goals, reliable to your standards, reliable to your future self. There will be moments when recognition never comes.